Well, it's time for another look at my Thomas collection. I'm down in my garage in the early hours of the morning. 4 AM would be very close to the time. And I'm going to try and knock off and show you the rest of what I didn't get through in the previous video. Hopefully there'll be a few surprises along the way. And we might be kicking off with this one right here. But just before we get into the Thomas stuff, I'd like to take you outside for a moment and show you something and take advantage of the fact that I am up in the early morning. And it's coming up to Christmas time, the time of year. It's summertime where I live, and there's something I want to show you outside that only sort of occurs this time of year. And if I go to the right part in my backyard, I will find this. And it's a cicada which has just hatched out of its shell probably a few hours back. I'm pretty sure most people around the world would know what a cicada is, and it seems to rely on, well, prime numbers for the years where you get lots of them or very few of them. I've got some very fond childhood memories of playing with cicadas. They're harmless little critters. And what's most unusual about these critters is they spend so many years underground and only a couple of weeks above ground having fun. Have a fantastic Christmas, my cicada friend. You've only got a few weeks to live the high life. So the first cab off the rank is a Thomas the Tank pillow pet. I like its face, and I think what you've got to be very careful when you're buying these, make sure it's the real McCoy thing, because I'm pretty sure this is the sort of thing that will get copied by those horrid cloners. Some of you might be in shock at the way this thing looks, but I actually think it's pretty cool. My son loved this, and I think I should really point this out. There's a real McCoy Thomas and Friends doodah, there's a Pillow Pets doodah, care and instructions, and also underneath here, this is what to look for. Pillow Pets here, and it's also got a Thomas and Friends stitch on there. And hopefully without looking like a total sellout here, this is how they work. There's some Velcro underneath here, and you can splash Thomas out to be a wonderful pillow. So you ever wondered what Thomas the Tank looks like if he got run over by a tank? Well, there it is. When I purchased this, I bought a few of them. I got a couple up in the house, and what I noticed my kids were doing was they were putting it like a Thomas thing, and then they're putting them on like punching gloves, if that makes any sense. It's a pillow, it's a pet, it's a punching pillow pet. I mean, you got to hand it to kids for finding the fun way to play with stuff. It's possibly going to divide a lot of people, but I do like this Thomas the Tank pillow pet. I like it a lot. The charity shop hauled in for me a TOMY big loader set, and it seems to have everything there, and there's a few things you need to look out for when you're getting these, and I'll go over them very quickly. What is so often missing from these sets, the older ones, is the little balls, which are part of the set, and to look at what year you've got. I looked at the instructions here, and it says down there 2004 somewhere. There it is, 2004, Ghislaine Thomas Limited. This toy is unusual because it relies on this single power truck to do all the functions on the toy, and if this truck is not working, the toy is useless. So what you've got to do is you've got to check for corrosion in here. What I'm going to do is put a battery in here and I'll power it up to see if it's working. And this one's a goer. It feels pretty strong in the wheels. And there's something else you need to look for, and I'll have to go in closer to show you. I've had a few of these come my way, and what I find every time is make sure that the traction tyres are nice and firm on the wheel there, but the biggest culprit which really hauls these up is dirt and lint and pet hair that gets caught up inside the mechanism here, and you can see this one here has got this problem as well. I've actually covered this in another video, so I will not go into it in this video at all. And also on a little truck you'll see the date 1977. What I've noticed is they are all dated 1977, but don't take that as the year that the toy was put together. I also noticed the licensing info on the back of the box says 2004. Looking over this with a collector's viewpoint, it's got some very good ticks. It's got a very, very good condition box. It's got all the characters which are in the set. It's got all the parts. It's got a set of instructions. It's got those balls. And most importantly, it's got a truck which is in good condition and has no signs of problems. The next Thomas is a TOMY Thomas. It's from 1998, that's the details underneath. It's a musical one. Unfortunately, the music side of this does not work. It would take 2 D-sized batteries if it was up and running and working. What is interesting is to turn this toy on and off was up via Thomas's funnel. It's actually a bit of fun to flick that switch around and get him to do some fluttery action. There's another switch on the side, but I'm pretty sure that is to do with the volume. Let's see what smash hits this jukebox Thomas carries with him. We've got Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we've got Brahms' Lullaby, and we've got the Thomas theme. I love looking at wheels. It's got one of those rogue little wheels. It's feeling a little bit stiff. And down the bottom I noticed there's a single traction tyre. When this musical TOMY Thomas turned up, it also arrived with an old cousin, the TOMY Melody Popo, and underneath it tells me it's from 1974. And it was only by having the Melody Popo did I understand what some of the buttons did on the Thomas one, even though it doesn't work. One difference here is the on and off switch is down below the volume. This grand old Melody Popo still works, but the discs are in Japanese. Let's throw it in and see what it plays. So I wonder what tune will be playing on this disc. I've got this toy set up as static now. Well, I don't know that tune, but it's quite loud. Luckily I can turn it down. The toy still runs. I just had it up on static mode because it had a passion for running off the bench. There's been a lot of the TOMY Thomas and Friends merchandise coming through the charity shop. I mean, it comes as whole sets. There's all sorts of track bits and bobs, and a lot of this stuff has had a lot of play. And there was some of the more modern Trackmaster stuff, which I just put in a pile. I'm sure there's a scruffy there, but the rest of those troublesome trucks come in a whole bunch of colours that I didn't really know about. And people were telling me that those mustard coloured ones came with diesel tan. I hope my information sources were correct. One mystery is some items look basically brand new, and there are other items which are on the brink of total destruction. Imagine if this toy could talk, and the tales it would tell of the adventures that it went through in its lifetime. And Henry wasn't the only one who had a hard life. Look at Duck, missing the front wheels. This old 1992 Thomas looks like it's been used as a battering ram, and we've got a traction tyre blown off. This old 1994 James is in need of some tender loving care. It's a joke, guys. I think I know why this 1992 Thomas is looking so gruff, because he's basically missing his whole running gear and motor. And what was nice in this last haul of stuff, there were two of the Thomases which look really good because they got that white splash of paint there. And I think I've got three which are like this now. I think it's three. And one last curious one is this 1998 Annie, which makes this sound when you move her. Well, it would not be one of my collection videos without a whole swag full of what I call checkout Thomases. And you might say, why do you call them checkout Thomases? Well, I'll tell the story over again. Back around 2007 in Australia, these little guys were all through the checkouts with a big thing saying, buy me, buy me. They were only $2 each. They were cheap and cheerful, and they were very, very popular. And what I do notice is that coming from the charity shop who collects this stuff for me, I think this would be one of the most frequent Thomas items that come through, and I'm sort of not surprised, and I've been able to give some of this stuff away in the past, and I will build up another bunch of it to give away in the future. And I think in this series that I've got this time, there's one here that I have not got, and let's take a look at it. Well, it's that Thomas there. I don't think I've got the one covered in vines and stuff. Is that from Hero of the Rails? Or is it Misty Island, or are the years a bit crossover? Remember, these were around 2007. Got cockies outside now. You recall in a previous collection video, I had some of these really small, highly detailed and all plastic Thomas and Friends characters. Well, as you can see, now I've got some more, and the take and play Thomas is in there, only to show you that these are so small. And I'm pretty sure someone left a comment telling me that these Thomases were connected to a book. I don't have the book, so that's something I'm now searching for. and I can assure you these tiny models do not disappoint. Well, in the haul there were two Tomy pullback style toys. One of course is Percy, one is James. They're both 2004 and made in Vietnam, and what's sort of nice is they are in really good condition. Thomas Take Along is there just so you know how big and small things are. And I'll do a quick demo of what they can do. And these toys have those crazy derpy eyes when they're running on the ground. And for the James fans out there, there's James doing his eyes. Well, I've got myself another one of these whistling Thomases. It's interesting, some people see this and they see it as a bit of a mystery. They've never seen it before. You basically blow in the end there and you'll get a whistle sound. And this one is in fairly good condition. I think this is the third one I've got. I've got one in really poor condition, and I think this is about the same as my other good condition one. Very much has the classic styled face. And I know someone will say, well, what happened to your cicada friend? Well, there he or she is. I'm not going to touch her to find out if it's a he or a she. And she's ended up being a beautiful brown colour. And she'll have to get up and moving because the birds are out and about looking for an easy meal, and she would be it while she's sitting on the concrete here. You know, if I only had a couple more weeks to live, I'd be up and at it real fast. Well, this next Thomas is a TOMY Thomas. It's a bath time squirter, but it's going right back to the year 1998. And some of you may remember there was a more recent version of this type of toy. And Thomas, you can load up with water and give him a squirt. Imagine the bath time battles that would have been had with this Thomas. And if I do a harder comparison to a much more recent bathtub Thomas, that's a 2009 one you can see in front of the screen there. You can see that's got a lot more detail on it than the older 1998 TOMY bathtime Thomas. But the feature which I like about the old one is that it squirts from its mouth. The 2009 newer version squirts from the funnel. And what is really interesting, even though these are two very simple bathtub toys, you can see the big changes that have gone on with Thomas's face. And the TOMY one represents the old classic face, and the 2009 one represents the new CGI face. And there's a size comparison to a take and a play Thomas. This next piece is really nice. And I mean really nice. It's a TOMY toy from 2005. It's an educational one where you can learn how to tell the time with Thomas in a sense. Let's just select this time here.
It's 8:30. Thomas, it's time to fill your tank with water.
You can also play a game of finding the time.
Let's find the time. 10:30. Thomas, it's
10:30.
Well done. You're right.
Phew! I'm glad I got that one right. And Thomas goes round. It's a great little toy, this. I wonder how many kids learnt the time via this toy. I'm certainly learning something. Well, I did throw together the TOMY Thomas and Friends Big Loader set, and sure, it's a fantastic toy. It's a fairly sought after toy, and it's sometimes a difficult toy to find in good condition. What you really need to be careful of is there are a lot of clone and copy versions of this toy, especially in the online marketplace. I did look into the clone versions of this toy, and I can assure you it's not even worth touching. It's a real rubbish product. And in the end, all it's going to do is disappoint you and your children. I'm not sure if Thomas and Friends will ever release a toy like this again, and it's probably a question best answered by TOMY. And you can see through all my Thomas collection videos that the TOMY products tend to be very well built and very well designed. Basically, they seem to stand the test of time a lot better than many other toy brands that I come across. But if you're out looking for a big loader set or a big loader set, it really is buyer beware. Don't get suckered in by a cheap price and something that looks really nice, because I can guarantee to you all it's going to bring you is heartache. Well, I'm going to leave this episode off here. I've still got a lot more to go through and show you. There's some really nice things to look at yet, and there's one in particular which has a very nice story related to it, and I'll tell you the story how this Thomas here landed on my front door, and I've got a very special thank you to the person who landed that on my front door. Anyway, thanks for watching and bye for now. Oh, the mysteries of modern music. And I'll do a quick demonstration of what they can do